Right now, as you're watching this, 3 separate crises are hitting American airports at the same time. TSA agents haven't been paid in a month. Security lines are stretching past 3 hours, and airports are begging passengers to donate gift cards so security officers can buy groceries. On top of that, a war in the Middle East just shut down major international airspace and sent jet fuel prices up over 60%. And airlines are already raising ticket prices. One travel agent said fares jumped 21% in 2 weeks. If you're flying this spring or even thinking about it, you need to hear all 3 of these before you book anything. Let me break down exactly what's happening, which airports are the worst right now, and the 7 things you need to do before you get to the airport. I know there are a lot of channels out there giving you generic airport tips. That's not what this is. This is a news briefing. 3 things that are happening right now in real time that are going to affect every single person who walks into a US airport this spring. I'm going to tell you what's happening, why it's happening, and most importantly, what it means for you, the American traveler. Especially if you're over 60, and the last thing you need is a 5-hour surprise at the security checkpoint. Let's start with crisis number 1, and it's the one already making people miss their flights. Crisis number 1, the TSA shutdown. Here's what happened. On February 14th, funding for the Department of Homeland Security lapsed. That means the government stopped paying for DHS operations, and TSA works under these operations. As of right now, approximately 61,000 TSA officers across the country are classified as essential, which means they're required to keep showing up to work. But here's the catch, they're not getting paid. They got a partial paycheck on February 28th, and on March 14th, a few days ago, many of them received their first $0 paycheck. They got paid nothing, not a cent. Now, think about that. The average TSA officer makes about $35,000 a year. The majority of them live paycheck to paycheck, and they've now gone an entire month without a full check. Johnny Jones, who leads the union representing 45,000 TSA officers, said, and I'm quoting, "They're panicking, they're scared, they're afraid, and they don't know what they're going to do." One officer in Atlanta who's worked for TSA for over 20 years told NPR, "People have childcare, they have a mortgage, where are they getting the money from?" The result is unscheduled absences among TSA workers that have doubled since the shutdown began. Over 300 TSA officers have quit entirely. Many others have taken second jobs, which means they can't cover their regular shifts, and travelers are paying the price. Here are the airports being hit the hardest right now. Houston Hobby Airport had security lines hit 3 hours last Sunday and Monday. The airport told passengers to arrive 4 to 5 hours before their flight. New Orleans Louis Armstrong is having wait times over 2 hours. Passengers told to arrive 3 hours early. Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson has significant delays reported. Charlotte Douglas International has extra long wait times. Houston Bush Intercontinental has delays, though less severe than Hobby. San Juan, Puerto Rico has major delays and getting worse. Now here's the tricky part. Some airports are running fine. New York, Boston, LA, Miami, Dallas, Fort Worth are some of the airports with reported wait times under 20 minutes this week, but that can change overnight. One travel analyst called it TSA line roulette. You don't know what you're going to get until you're already there. And the app that usually helps, the MyTSA app, well, it may not be accurate right now because the shutdown has paused the system that updates it. I'll tell you what to use instead in a minute. This shutdown is a political standoff. Democrats want immigration enforcement reforms. Republicans are resisting, and DHS is the last federal agency that hasn't been funded for the rest of the fiscal year. A series of short-term extensions kept things going, but the last one ran out almost a month ago, and there is no deal in sight. The union representing TSA workers says they are not optimistic this ends soon. And remember what happened during the last government shutdown in October and November? Over 1,000 TSA officers resigned. We're on track for the same thing. As one former TSA administrator put it, the longer it goes, the more officers who resign. They will look for other work because they have bills to pay. And here's the part that will make your blood boil. Every time you buy a plane ticket, you pay a $5.60 security fee for each one-way segment. That money is supposed to fund TSA right now. That money keeps piling up, but none of it is going to the officers screening your bags. Some airports have gotten so desperate they're running donation drives, asking passengers to donate gift cards so TSA workers can buy gas and groceries. Denver, Seattle, Las Vegas, Cleveland, Orlando, New York, and New Jersey airports have all set up donation stations or food pantries for their own security officers. In Las Vegas, MGM Resorts donated lunch to TSA workers. That's where we are in March 2026. Crisis number 2, the Iran war and global flight chaos. While airports are falling apart inside, there's another crisis hitting from the outside, and this one is affecting every international flight out of the United States. On February 28th, the United States and Israel launched military strikes against Iran. Iran retaliated, and the Middle East, one of the most important airspace corridors on Earth, effectively shut down. Iran closed its airspace, and now Iraq, parts of Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, all affected. Thousands of flights were cancelled or rerouted in the first 48 hours alone. Here's what that looks like for American travelers. United Airlines cancelled all of its scheduled flights to Dubai and Tel Aviv. American Airlines suspended its direct service to Dubai Delta, issued travel waivers for Middle East routes. Routes that fly over the Middle East, even if they're not going to the Middle East, are being rerouted. That means flights to India, Southeast Asia, East Africa, and parts of Europe are taking longer paths. And longer paths doesn't mean a small detour. We're talking about flights adding up to 2 additional hours of flying time. Each rerouted flight costs airlines an estimated $10,000 extra in fuel, overflight fees, and wear and tear. As of right now, Dubai International Airport, one of the busiest hubs in the world, is operating on a limited basis. Hundreds of thousands of travelers have been stranded. You might be thinking, I'm flying to Orlando, not Dubai. Why do I care? Here's why. When a major global hub like Dubai shuts down, it creates a domino effect. Aircraft get stuck in the wrong places, crew scheduling falls apart, airlines start pulling planes from domestic routes to cover international gaps. And fuel prices? Well, that's crisis number 3 that we will talk about next. And if you're thinking about booking a European vacation this summer, there's another change coming in late 2026 that's going to add a whole new step before you can even board the plane. I'll mention it in a few minutes, so make sure you stick around if you have a trip to Europe planned this year. Crisis number 3. Ticket prices are exploding. Here's the crisis that's going to hit your wallet directly. Since the Iran war started on February 28th, jet fuel prices have surged over 60%, and in some regions, they've nearly doubled. Let me put that in real numbers. On February 27th, the day before the strikes, filling the fuel tanks on a single Boeing 737 cost about $17,000. Less than a week later, they jumped up to $27,000. That's a $10,000 increase per flight. Jet fuel is the single biggest expense for airlines after labor. It makes up over 20% of their operating costs. United Airlines alone spent $11.4 billion on fuel last year. And here's the problem. Most US airlines stopped hedging their fuel purchases years ago. That means they don't lock in prices in advance. They buy fuel at market rates. So when jet fuel doubles overnight, they absorb the full hit and pass it on to you. And airlines are already raising fares. This isn't speculation, it's already happening. Cathay Pacific announced it's doubling fuel surcharges starting March 18th. Qantas raised international fares. Scandinavian Airlines raised fares, citing unusually rapid and substantial fuel increases. Air New Zealand pulled its entire financial outlook and made initial fare adjustments. And United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby said publicly that higher fares are probably coming quick. One travel agent told a local news station, "I looked yesterday at an airfare I booked. It's up 21% compared to where it was just a couple of weeks ago." And analysts at Deutsche Bank called rising fuel costs an existential threat to the airline industry. Now, President Trump said on Monday that the war could end very soon, and oil prices did drop. But here's the thing, experts told Newsweek, even if crude oil drops, jet fuel prices are slow to follow. There's something called the crack spread, which is the gap between crude oil and refined jet fuel, which means that your ticket prices won't come back down quickly, even if the war ends tomorrow. One industry estimate says that even if elevated fuel prices only last through the 2 core spring break months of March and April, the extra cost to just Delta, American, Southwest, and United combined would be roughly $1 billion. And guess who's going to pay for that? You are, and so am I, and anyone who buys a plane ticket between now and, honestly, probably September. Sorry, I wish I had better news. Alright, enough doom and gloom, here's what you do about it. 7 things, and I want you to write these down or screenshot this section. Number 1. Arrive at the airport much earlier than you think. Forget the old 2-hour rule. Right now, if you're flying from any major airport, give yourself at least 3 hours for domestic and 4 hours for international. If you're flying from Houston Hobby, New Orleans, Atlanta, or Charlotte, make it 4 to 5 hours. Yes, I know that sounds insane, but missing your flight because you're stuck in a 3-hour security line is worse. Number 2, get TSA PreCheck. It's your best weapon right now. TSA PreCheck costs $76 for 5 years. That's about $15 a year. And right now, it could be the difference between a 20-minute line and a 3-hour line. PreCheck lanes are still open at most airports during the shutdown. They require fewer agents because the screening is less intensive and you keep your shoes on. Your laptop stays in the bag, you go through a metal detector instead of a body scanner. Many credit cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve or Capital One Venture will reimburse the fee, so make sure to check your card benefits. Number 3. Consider Clear if you're a frequent flyer. Clear is a private security program available at most major airports. You verify your identity with biometrics and get escorted to the front of the line. It's $209 a year. I know, it's not cheap, but right now it could save you hours at the airport. Number 4. Don't trust the MyTSA app right now. The MyTSA app usually shows real-time wait times, but during the shutdown, it's not being reliably updated. A travel analyst warned that the 15 or 30-minute waits you see online may not be accurate. Instead, call your airline directly. Check your airport's Twitter or X account for live updates, or check the airport's own website for travel advisories. Number 5. Book flights now, but not basic economy. If you're planning to fly this spring or summer, book now before prices go higher, but do not buy a basic economy ticket. Here's why. If you book a regular fare and the price drops later, most airlines will let you cancel or exchange and get the difference back as a credit. But with basic economy, there are no changes and no refunds. As one travel expert put it, if you book a $500 flight today and 2 weeks from now, the price drops to $350, you call the airline and get the $150 difference back. Heads you win, tails the airline loses. Number 6. Know that travel insurance probably won't cover shutdown delays. If long TSA lines make you miss your flight, your airline will usually rebook you on the next available flight free of charge, but that's about it. No hotel voucher, no meal credit. And travel insurance. Well, most policies do not cover delays caused by government staffing shortages. They cover weather, they cover mechanical failures, but they don't cover political standoffs. Number 7. If you can drive or take a train, consider it. I don't say this lightly, but if your trip is under 500 miles and you have the option to drive or take Amtrak, this might be the spring to do it. You'll avoid the security chaos, the fare increases, and the stress. Gas prices are up too, but nothing like jet fuel. Alright, screenshot this right now and share it with anyone who's flying this spring. Spring 2026 Airport Crisis and what you need to know. TSA agents have not been paid for 1 month with no end date in sight. Security lines are hitting 3 hours at major airports. The worst airports right now are Houston Hobby, New Orleans, Atlanta, Charlotte, and San Juan. Arrive 3 to 4 hours early for domestic flights and 4 to 5 hours early for international. TSA PreCheck is still open. It's only $76 for 5 years, so get it now. MyTSA app may not be accurate during shutdown. Jet fuel up 60% plus, with ticket prices rising fast. Book flights now, but avoid basic economy, as you can't change or cancel your tickets if prices drop. Travel insurance does not cover shutdown delays. Over 300 TSA officers have quit, and staffing will only get worse. And one more thing. If you're planning a trip to Europe later this year, starting in the final quarter of 2026, American travelers will need to apply for something called ETIAS, the European Travel Information and Authorization System. It's basically Europe's version of ESTA. It's a new online application, it costs a small fee, and you'll need it before you fly. I have made a full video on that on my channel, so subscribe and check out my other videos so you stay up to date. I've been covering airport rules and travel changes on this channel for a while now, but I have never seen 3 crises like this hit at the same time. A government shutdown leaving security officers unpaid, a war disrupting global airspace, and fuel prices threatening to make flying unaffordable for millions of Americans. This is the most important time to be informed before you travel. If this video helped you, hit share right now. Send it to your kids, your friends, your travel group, or anyone who's flying this spring. And subscribe, because I'm going to keep tracking this situation every single week until it's resolved. I'll see you in the next one.